Mike Bond here at American Top Team with Dustin Poirier, and it is official. The retirement fight is set. New Orleans, July 19th, against Max Holloway for the BMF title. Dustin, it's been a long wait to get this announcement. We've got many teases. How happy are you that the world finally knows and that the retirement fight is set in stone?
I'm super excited, man. This has been a long time in the works, getting Louisiana on board, get the UFC to even think about coming back to Louisiana. But it's happening. Super excited. There's nobody else I'd rather be standing across from when I lay the gloves down or when I go into my final fight. Max is a legend. I got so much respect for the guy. He's done it all right. And that was his first fight in the UFC, and he's going to be my last.
Yeah, that's incredible. And I guess tell us the process. Like, how do you think yourself, your team, and the UFC came to this determination that this was the right way to go with Max?
Well, I was asking for Gaethje. I was asking Hunter in the UFC for Gaethje because we're 1-1. I wanted to close out that trilogy. For some reason, they really wanted this fight, so I said, okay, that's cool because I respect the guy from my last fight. Yeah, I don't know what their thought process was of putting this together for me and Max, but I have a lot of respect for him, so it made sense to me. I said legends only. He definitely fits that.
People thought Ilia Topuria changing his name to the legend, it might be that, but was that ever discussed at all?
Not once. Actually, when he said he was going to 55, I texted Hunter. I texted the UFC. I said, hey, what's up? Let me know what's going on with this guy now. He's a 55. But they never entertained it. They told me it's not happening, and they wanted Max.
And obviously last time, I remember so clearly, that was cage side when you and Max fought in Atlanta there for the interim title. That came together like relatively short notice. I think you were originally going to fight Tony Ferguson at the time. It didn't happen, and they got in Max. You know, he's going to have a longer camp to get to lightweight this time. He's committed to that move. How do you think that's going to make him different, like physically and maybe power, things he can bring to the table?
Yeah, he'll definitely be thicker, have more power. I mean, you saw the way he looked against Gaethje. Looked a little bit better, wore the weight a little bit better. But Max is a big guy. You know, he could have been at 55 for a while, but it'll be a completely different fight. There are gaps of years between our fights. The first one was 2012, then 2018, 2019, now 2025. Each fight is a different fight. It's the same guy, but we've been in the gym and fought so many great world-class guys. We're both different fighters every time, so I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah, I think it's the longest spanning trilogy in UFC history over the course of like 14 years or so now. I guess how much can you even look back at those first two fights?
I can't. I can look back at his most recent fights, you know, maybe his last 2 or 3 fights me and my team will look at, but those fights we can't look back at them.
When you look at the last one in particular, you know, it was made for such a long time. Max Holloway had never been knocked down. You probably came the closest in that fight. He got saved by the fence a little bit, but he has been dropped. He has been knocked out now. Does that change your perspective on his potential durability in this fight?
That's a tough one. Of course, those knocks add up, but I thought he looked good on his feet. You know, he kind of had some moments in the fight of finding his rhythm, and he just got hit with a good shot. This is fighting. You know, you can't recover from them all. If somebody spins your chin like that, especially somebody like Ilia with good technique. Maybe it was a shot he didn't really see. We'll find out. Time will tell.
Was it always your expectation with this matchup the BMF title would be on the line?
No, this was like I said, this was a blindside. I thought Max was like the last person I thought they were going to try to match me up with.
What do you think of fighting for the BMF title? Again, you know, you had your opportunity in Utah, didn't go your way, another chance. Does this belt hold any significance to you?
Of course it does. There hasn't been many guys, and like I said, heading into the Gaethje fight for the BMF, even to get mentioned or have your name in the hat to be pulled for a BMF fight, you got to be a fan favorite. You got to bring it every time. You have to be in that criteria of fighters cut from that cloth, that never say die cloth, and Max is that, I am that. So it's amazing. If I can get my hand raised again, retire with the BMF belt, I'm in the BMF forever.
Yeah, I was going to say, you'll retire with the BMF belt. Should the BMF belt retire with you think?
I mean, if I'm the last if I can get my hand raised, be the last BMF champion, and ride off into the sunset with the belt and retire, hey, that's forever. That's forever, because I don't think they would ever do it again unless something crazy happened, right? But that would be dope.
Would be cool. And I guess just the experience of fighting in New Orleans, I mean, I'm sure it's going to be a crazy week. You're going to get pulled in all sorts of directions. Ultimately, you couldn't have dreamed a better scenario, though, right? Like, this is where you want to do it, despite all that stuff that might come with it.
Yeah, this is the dream. This is the plan. I'm the one who reached out for the UFC and said, hey, I would love to retire at home. And to my surprise, they like obliged and said, okay, we'll do everything we can to make it happen. You know, it's amazing when a company works with you like that and has respect for you enough to try to put things in motion, because so many things in their schedule is booked up for the whole year, you know, previously. Like, people don't understand how much goes on behind the scenes. These dates and locations are pre-planned for a long time. For them to scrap something and bring the cage to Louisiana and set it up for me to retire at home, dude, it's a dream come true.
Do you think it's going to be hard on the night to keep your emotions in check at all, or do you think you're so good at compartmentalizing stuff, like you're not going to think this was the last one until it's done?
I think all through this camp, up until fight night, maybe when I get to the locker room, or maybe when I wake up the next day and reality kind of hits me, we'll see. I think it's going to be a roller coaster.
And yeah, to go 3-0 against Max Holloway, I think that would be pretty special. I mean, both you are going to have so many Hall of Fame fights, but I think the fact UFC does this event for you, like, you're guaranteed to be a Hall of Famer individual, I think, too.
Dude, I hope so. You know, I on the desk working for ESPN in Miami, this last show, what was it, John Anik kept mentioning when I worked with him, he kept saying the future Hall of Famer. Just hearing that, like, makes me proud and excited, and I just hope I've done enough. You know, I know DC's like upset that Jim Miller is in the Hall of Fame, because, dude, Jim's a legend. Guys like him, of course he's a Hall of Famer. I want to be amongst those greats. You know, I want to be a Hall of Famer one day. That'd be incredible.
Sure. And just last thing, when you and Max get in there, we know you guys, what you're so capable of. The last fight, one of the greatest fights in UFC history, in my opinion. Do you want another war like that, or would a more ideal scenario for your final fight to be going there, take as minimal damage as possible, knock the guy out in the first if you can?
I mean, that would be nice. Get in, retire clean, go home with no stitches for my daughter. But in true knucklehead fashion, I'm going to stand in the middle and trade with Max, and we're going to bleed and put on a show for the last one.
And well, Dustin, personally speaking, you've done so much for me in my career. I really appreciate everything. You've been such a great role model for the sport, so I can't wait to be there for the final fight. I remember the look in your eyes the last time you and Max fought. You looked at me through the cage when Bruce Buffer was introducing him, and I remember you told me I would have beat anyone in the world on that night. Do you kind of remember that a little bit?
Yeah, and I remember thinking that. I thought no matter – that was the first time I ever had a title in front of me, I think, in the UFC. There was no – like, anybody in the world I would have beat that night. I really believe that.
Hopefully you go in there with that same feeling on July 19th.
For sure, BMF.